Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. As you can tell by the massive smile on my face, it is the live game review to Everton's 1-0 victory away from home against Sheffield United yesterday. A win, finally a win for Everton Football Club. Our first win obviously since beating Leicester, which was only a few weeks ago, but it seems like an absolute age. And a fantastic, hard work and gritty performance by Everton saw us through. It wasn't always pretty, it wasn't the greatest performance you'll ever see, but you know what, it was a tough, gritty performance. Oh, hang on, computer's doing a little bit of an... computer's trying to interrupt me spotlight here as we're talking about a fantastic Everton win. Common that it would try and do that, but let's get rid of that before we go on to continuing to talk about the win. Yeah, in fact, listen, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the prettiest game of football, it wasn't the prettiest win, but it was hard working and it was gritty, and it was a performance that we haven't seen from these players an awful lot recently. We certainly haven't seen it since the lockdown, a performance where we actually turn up and we look like we want to win the game. We look like we actively want to go out and score, and that was intensified when we actually got the goal. Richarlison obviously scoring just into the second half, couple of minutes into the second half, and from that point on, usually with Everton, we've seen us sort of try and defend the lead from that point forward whenever we've scored in recent weeks. And I understand it because obviously, listen, we haven't got the greatest amount of creativity and we don't create an awful lot of chances, so I understand the tactics being that we get one goal and then we sort of just sit back and hope that we can defend that lead. But it wasn't the case for Carlo Ancelotti yesterday. That wasn't the case for Everton yesterday. We scored and we immediately wanted to get more. We immediately wanted to continue to attack. We were breaking them down. We were hitting them on the counter-attack and we were creating more and more opportunities. And we're back. I felt like I was back sitting watching Everton yesterday where we're moaning about the fact that we're not taking those opportunities rather than moaning about the fact that we're not creating any opportunities whatsoever. You know, not only did we score the goal, but we had various chances to score 2 or 3. Theo Walcott putting a good couple of balls into the box at certain times. You know, obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin having a couple of fantastic opportunities, hitting the post. One where he probably should have squared it to Gylfi Sigurdsson as well. There were plenty of chances in that game for Everton to score and we didn't, but obviously we got the one that mattered the most, that ultimately led to the goal, and it was really refreshing to see. It was a really refreshing Everton performance, and it was the best Everton performance for some weeks, and I think a lot of Evertonians, including myself, went into this game, you know, I wouldn't say worried, but with not high hopes, not really looking forward to it and not expecting much out of it. But we actually got a much more improved performance than we've seen in recent weeks, and we got a win away from home. I think that's Carlo Ancelotti's 4th away win or 5th away win since joining Everton Football Club, and we've only had one more in the entire season. And I think Marco Silva only got 6 away wins in his entire Everton career, and he was here 18 months, which just shows how improved this team is under Carlo Ancelotti and how improved it was yesterday. Obviously, Carlo Ancelotti set up a lot differently to anything that we've seen since he's joined the football club. Not only did it confuse Sheffield United, but it confused Everton as well. The Everton admin sent fans into absolute meltdown on Twitter and social media by posting up the starting 11 that Carlo Ancelotti decided to go with, but posting it in a 4-4-2 formation, which led a lot of us to believe that Gylfi Sigurdsson was starting on the left-hand side of a midfield with Andre Gomes and Tom Davies playing in the centre. And I think at that point, you know, we all sort of looked at it and thought, if that is that formation playing in a 4-4-2, we are going to massively struggle today because we're going to get overrun. Gylfi Sigurdsson can't play on that left-hand side. He hasn't got enough energy. He hasn't got enough pace. You know, Andre Gomes and Tom Davies have been really, really poor recently, but it wasn't that formation. Obviously, it became really apparent really quickly when we stepped onto the pitch and when we formed our shape within the first 5 minutes that it was reverting back to that 4-2-3-1 formation that we've seen an awful lot under Marco Silva. And I'm not saying that that formation massively works because we've seen it fail an awful lot under Marco Silva, but one thing I mentioned in the instant match reaction, and I really, really think this was a key element in the game and in how well we played, was that it was a change. It was something different for the players to focus on, and it was very similar when Duncan Ferguson took over in December and he went for a flat 4-4-2, simple, do the simple things and let's just win the game. And we looked so refreshed, we looked so energised, and the players reacted to that change of formation. That's something different, those new tactics, that new way of playing the game, and we played fantastic for 2 or 3 weeks under that formation. Then obviously Carlo Ancelotti took over and we had a really, really good spell at the start of it. But it looked like for me that certain players just couldn't play in that 4-4-2 formation. And I honestly think when you play 2 central midfielders and those midfielders have to be able to get forward and get back, you know, pretty much for the entire game, box-to-box midfielders. We haven't got a box-to-box midfielder in this squad. Andre Gomes isn't quick enough. He hasn't got the energy to do it. Gylfi Sigurdsson, very similarly, he isn't quick enough. He hasn't got the energy to do it. But when you play those midfielders in a 4-2-3-1 formation, which allows you to have a designated midfielder that just focuses on the attacking and have a designated midfielder that focuses on the nice sort of you know, nice technical work and good passes, and then you have someone next to him who obviously last season was gone, a guy who could run around and do the gritty bit and do the hard work and get himself involved. That obviously benefits this squad, and Andre Gomes to me showed yesterday that he is much, much better playing in a formation where he doesn't have as much responsibility going forward and defensively than when he's playing in a 4-4-2, and he is literally one of 2 midfielders that has to control the game. Andre Gomes' performance yesterday was the best performance I've seen from Andre Gomes since prior to the injury, probably since, you know, Marco Silva's days, to be being perfectly honest with you. And that's nothing to do with Carlo Ancelotti. That's just Carlo Ancelotti coming in, adopting his different style, adopting his different tactics, and these players not fitting into that. And that's perfectly acceptable because Carlo Ancelotti hasn't had the transfer window yet. He hasn't had the opportunity to bring his own players in. He hasn't had the time to do that. So him coming in and adopting his tactics and how he wants to take the team forward and it not quite working for some players is understandable. What he done yet, what he was last season where he was scoring worldies and you know, winning us games of football, but it was a much better performance by him. It was a much more improved performance, and it was a performance that we haven't seen from Gylfi Sigurdsson for a long, long time in an Everton shirt. He was using his feet, he was using his skill, he was getting the ball forward, he was taking us forward, he was creating opportunities. He obviously put in a really, really good ball for Richarlison's goal, which ended up winning the game. And similarly with Andre Gomes, again, like I said, he looked more settled, he looked more used to that formation, and he looked more comfortable. Overall yesterday, not only did we work an awful lot harder than we've worked in recent weeks, but we looked more comfortable on the ball, we looked more comfortable going forward, the shape looked more natural to these players, and that's understandable because they've played in that shape for a long, long time, and listen, doesn't paper over any cracks, and I'm not by any means sitting here saying, oh, that's it, it's all sorted now. All as Carlo Ancelotti has to do is play that 4-2-3-1 formation or 4-5-1 when we're defending, and that's it. We don't need to improve. These players are good enough. They're not good enough. Ultimately, that midfield still isn't good enough. We need players that can play in various different formations, because it's all good changing it around a little bit, you know, mixing it up and playing a formation that not even the club, you know, recognised before the game, and playing a different formation and surprising the opposition, and then, you know, using different tactics. But you can't do that week in, week out, because teams will get onto it very, very quickly, and teams will be able to combat that very, very quickly. And if we've only got one trick, if you've only got one formation and players that only work in one formation, you're not going to finish anywhere other than mid-table, you know, mid to bottom table, because you're not. You need to be able to change it up in this league. You need to be able to vary it, and I think that's what Carlo Ancelotti's looking at trying to do, and we've seen him use multiple formations since he's come in. But I think that one yesterday is really where you're going to get the most out of these players. The midfield, to be fair to them, were fantastic yesterday. You know, Tom Davies was, again, he was a little bit hot and cold. Sometimes, you know, his passages of play let him down a little bit on the ball in terms of when he had the ball at his feet and his movement. I thought he'd done okay to get away from players and to create space for himself and to actually put himself in dangerous positions, but his passing just let him down on some occasions, which, again, we've seen it do various times for Tom Davies over the last few weeks. But the other 2 midfielders, Gylfi Sigurdsson and Andre Gomes, I can't hardly fault them, because I thought they were much, much better. Again, like I said, Gylfi wasn't back to his usual scoring world. He's left, right and centre, but you're not going to get that from Gylfi Sigurdsson anymore. I don't think his heart's fully in it at the football club. He's another year older. He's had you know, a couple of injury issues, fitness issues, so you're not going to get that, but we got as much as you will get out of Gylfi Sigurdsson yesterday. Similarly with Andre Gomes, again, if Carlo Ancelotti's formation for the future is going to be a 4-4-2, then I expect 2 centre midfielders to come in the summer, because I really don't think Andre Gomes can play that. But what he can play is that formation where he doesn't necessarily have to get forward and create chances. He doesn't necessarily have to do the dirty work. He can just sit in that midfield, look good, and spray passes left, right and centre, and use his energy and use his body to his advantage, and he's not overrun massively. So we'll start with the first half then, before we go through the team and some individual pieces of brilliance and some individual fantastic performances. Like I said, I thought tactically from Ancelotti, he got it spot on yesterday, considering the amount of fume and the mass meltdown when the team news first come out, and that was largely down to, you know, the Everton admin throwing it in a 4-4-2 and making us believe that Gylfi Sigurdsson was playing on the left-hand side of a flat 4 midfield, and Andre Gomes and Tom Davies with the midfield too. But like I said, as soon as it became apparent on the pitch, I think from the first whistle we looked the better team. We looked like the team that wanted to control the game a little bit more, and it wasn't the most exciting first half, but it was better. And I know that we're clutching straws a little bit, and that's why I'm sitting here saying it doesn't paper over any cracks, and I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, that's sound, just play that formation next season and we won't need any signings. We do. The reality of the situation is we still need 2 brand new midfielders, and we still need, you know, various other players on the pitch, but it was better. And from the first minute, like I said, it was much more improved than the game against Aston Villa. The game against Aston Villa, the game against Southampton, the game against Wolves, we didn't look like we had anything about us. Not only did we look like we were getting, dominated on the park due to the quality of the opposition, but we looked like we didn't want to win the game. We looked like we didn't want to get involved. We looked like we didn't want to get anything out of it. This game yesterday, from the first minute, we were attacking. We were trying to create. We were shutting them down very, very quickly. I don't think they had a shot on target for about 60 minutes. In fact, they mightn't have had a shot on target all game. We were closing them down very, very quickly, and we were trying to break forward. Richarlison was involved in a lot in the first half, and I think he struggled a little bit out on that left-hand side. He couldn't quite get the ball under his feet, and he was kicked an awful lot as well. But that shows that the ball was getting to those areas. It was getting to him. We were still trying to play the ball forward. We were fighting. There was a little bit of energy in there. There was a little bit of fight. There was a little bit of passion. There was a little bit of fucking hell, we really want to win this game, and we have to win this game. It was much more improved than, like I said, the absolute dross performance that we seen on Thursday against Aston Villa, which we barely scraped the point out of, and much more improved than the performance against Wolves. Carlo Ancelotti must have got them lads in after the Villa game and said, listen, if you perform like that in the last 2 games, you can kiss your fucking place in this team goodbye, because you're not good enough. Because the players looked like they were playing for something, and like I said, we set up with a formation that was very different to anything that we've seen under Carlo Ancelotti. The midfield being Davies, Gomes and Sigurdsson in that 3, with Theo Walcott being on one side of it, Richarlison being on the other, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin being the sole striker. And I thought it really, really worked. Again, Richarlison over on that left-hand side, he did struggle a little bit to get the ball under his feet, but he was in the game. He was winning fouls. He was, you know, putting his body in the way. He was putting tackles in. He was getting involved, and ultimately he scored the winning goal, which, you know, we'll talk about in just a moment. But again, the first half was much, much better. It wasn't anything spectacular. We weren't unbelievable. There were still certain times where we had the ball at our feet and we were giving it away stupidly and we were losing possession. But we had the majority of the possession, and we weren't threatened by Sheffield United. And I think that not only did that help us grow in confidence massively in the second half, also as well as the goal, but like I said, that the fact that Sheffield United weren't really breaking at us, they weren't really causing us any trouble, and we were having the majority of the ball, and we were the team that were pushing forward, and we were the team that were trying to create the opportunities. I think that grew us in confidence an awful lot as well. So like I said, the first half, not an awful lot happened in regards to chances, not an awful lot happened in regards to anything really, but we looked better. We looked a lot better. And at this point, you know, with 2 games to go in the season, the players for the last 2 or 3 weeks looking like they had flip-flops on and sitting on the beach, I was happy to see a much better Everton performance, because there was a part of me that thought we could be going in at half-time. Prior to the game, we could be going in at half-time, done and dusted here, and just beaten to the core with nothing to play for. But we weren't. We were coming in at half-time. The better team, don't even think it was arguably the better team looked more threatening and looked more composed on the ball. So I was happy with that. There was nothing in that first half that worried me massively. There was nothing in that first half that I was overly frustrated or annoyed about. I thought it was a solid performance, certainly away from home, certainly against the team in Sheffield United who have been fantastic at home this season and are fighting for the European place. We look like the team fighting for the European place, and they look like the side that have nothing to play for. So obviously, like I said, the back 4 were fantastic again yesterday. Were absolutely fantastic. Jared Branthwaite stepping in for his first start in an Everton shirt. Obviously come off the bench previously against Wolves due to an injury. Had that little bit of a moment, and then after that, really, really solid in the Wolves game. Thought he played fantastically, and then absolutely unbelievable against Aston Villa. Stepped in and looked like a seasoned pro already. He looked like he was used to playing in the Premier League. He looked like he was made to play in the Premier League. Had his first start yesterday due to injuries to Yerry Mina and Mason Holgate, and again he was absolutely superb, didn't put a foot wrong, didn't put 1 foot wrong yesterday. Everything that come at him in the air, he won. He was more than willing to put his head in dangerous positions and win fouls when needed to. On the ball, he was very, very good. Okay, in the first half, I think he had to ease into the game a little bit, and his passing, I don't want to say let him down, but his passing, maybe wasn't as sharp as it could have been in that first half, but he gradually got better, and he gradually eased into it, and like I said, he didn't make a single mistake yesterday that was worth looking at going, Jesus Christ, that was dangerous. He was very, very solid. Michael Keane next to him as well. I'll talk about Michael Keane later, because some people weren't happy with the rating I give him a 6 in the play ratings, because I actually thought on the ball he looked a little bit shaky at times, but that's probably because I've set the standard for Michael Keane quite high now because of how impressed I've been with him since the lockdown. He's been absolutely fantastic since the lockdown, and you know what? He was absolutely fantastic yesterday. Yes, I was a little bit harsh on him, but ultimately nothing got through us. Sheffield United didn't create an opportunity worth remembering, and everything that got put to Michael Keane in the air, he got rid of. Everything that got put to him on the floor, he got rid of as well. But anyway, like I said, we go in at half-time, it's 0-0, and you're thinking, right, okay, there's not been an awful lot to scream and shout about. It's not the greatest performance that we've ever seen, but considering what we've seen in recent weeks, it's better, it's much more improved, and we're away from home, and we're coming in 0-0 against a decent side, and a side that have showed a lot of grit and have showed a lot of fight, and we're matching that, which was something that I think was a big worry of a lot of Evertonians, including myself, prior to this game, was would we be able to match the fight and the grit that Sheffield United would bring. A team full of players that, in Chris Wilder's words, not my words, are Championship and League One players playing in the Premier League, not only playing in the Premier League, but genuinely fighting for the position in that Europa League place, which will be magnificent for them this season. And Everton sort of, I wouldn't even say match the energy. We had more energy. We were better. We were more gritty. So we go in at half time anyway. It's 0-0, and you're thinking, right, okay, solid at the moment. Yes, we need to improve if we want to get anything out of the game. And yes, it's not the most entertaining game, but we're not just turning over and keeling over and letting them rub our belly and play around us. We're actually stepping up and standing up for ourselves a little bit here and not letting us get overturned. So we come out for the second half, and within 2 minutes of the second half, we get a free kick in a dangerous area. And Everton, notoriously this season, which is quite strange to say because it's not historically been like this, but Everton notoriously this season have been very, very good at set pieces. And Gylfi Sigurdsson steps over this one, and I thought Gylfi had a good first half. I thought the standout player for me was Andre Gomes. Andre Gomes and Jared Branthwaite were the best two players on the pitch for me in the first half in an Everton shirt. Luca Dean played really, really well as well. But I thought Andre Gomes, purely because of how poor he's been recently, I thought it was really, really refreshing to see such an improved performance by him. But Gylfi Sigurdsson steps over the free kick, whips a great ball in. I think it's a fantastic ball, despite the fact that some people say it wasn't. I thought it was a brilliant ball and an unbelievable header by Richarlison. I cannot believe I heard Ali McCoist say that it was an easy header for him to score. It's a world-class finish. If you don't think that's a world-class finish, you don't understand football. The lad is literally near enough on the edge of the box, and he's heading that way. He's heading left of him, over his shoulder, and he gets a fantastic contact on it. And okay, Dean Henderson gets a touch on it, and from a Sheffield United point of view, you might be disappointed, but I don't give a fuck, because I'm not from a Sheffield United point of view. Richarlison gets a brilliant contact on it, and again proves that he is the best Brazilian striker in this league by quite some mile. In fact, he's the best Brazilian striker on the planet, barring probably Neymar, if you were to class him as a striker. Another fantastic header by Richarlison, and we go 1-0 up, and it's a big boost for Everton at that point. Couple of minutes into the second half, again, it's sort of been a restart. Not much had changed from the initial drinks break in the first half to the end of the first half, but it's a fresh start in the second half. We all know that. We knew that Sheffield United were going to come out, and they were going to have a lot of confidence, and they were going to improve ultimately, because they'll have had a big talking to by Chris Wilder. Chris Wilder's a manager that doesn't beat around the bush. He's not going to sit there and tell you that a performance is good when it's not. And from a Sheffield United point of view, it wasn't good enough in that first half yesterday. So them players will have been told that, and they'll have come out with a bit of a fresh mind, thinking, right, okay, we go again in the second half, it's even, we can win this game. And we sort of killed that momentum straight away. And I always think, within the first couple of minutes of a second half, sorry, not necessarily the first half, within a second half, I always think that's a fantastic time to score. Certainly if it's a stalemate, if it's a 0-0. Because if you score within the first couple of minutes of a second half that it's a draw in, you're ultimately killing the momentum of the other team. The other team are coming out thinking, right, okay, we mightn't have played that great in that first half, but, you know, it's still 0-0. Let's go, change it up in the second half. Let's get at them. Let's have a little bit more intensity. And I honestly think that Sheffield United will have come out with that, you know, mindset of, right, okay, let's get at them, let's be a little bit more gritty, let's put them on the back foot, and judging on their recent performances, they'll flop. But we killed that. We killed that within a couple of minutes by a fantastic header by Richarlison. It really, really is a brilliant header. We go 1-0 up, and like I said earlier on in the stream, you're sort of sitting there thinking, right, brilliant, 1-0 up, decent first half, really, really good start to the second half. Now, are we going to sort of sit back and try and defend that? Which I'm not saying I would have liked or I would have been a fan of, but I would have understood if the tactics there would have changed. That, right, okay, let's just sit back now and try and defend this lead, because ultimately, you know, they've proven to be a very, very good team, certainly at home, a team that can score, a team that have got some good talented players, but we didn't. In fact, we looked more energised. We changed the way that we've been playing recently, and when we usually score, which we haven't done an awful lot of, which is probably the reason why we try and defend leads, but when we usually score, we think, right, okay, shut up shop now and let's end it. And I completely understand why Carlo Ancelotti does that, because the quality of these players has shown that we don't score many goals in games. In fact, you know, other than the Leicester game, I can't remember the last time we scored 2 or 3 goals in a game where we really killed off a game. But we didn't. It gave us that added bit of confidence, whereas it sort of dented Sheffield United's confidence because we'd scored so early in that second half. It gave us more confidence. We wanted to create more. We wanted to score more, and Richarlison then come into the game massively. Like I said, he had a good first half in terms of he was in the game and he was getting himself about, but he was getting kicked an awful lot. He wasn't able to do an awful lot with the ball. He always wants the ball, Richarlison. He always wants to create things, but sometimes he just isn't in the right areas to create, or he's just marked out the game. And I felt like that was, you know, similar to what had happened in that first half, whereas, you know, in the second half, he'd scored that goal, and that gave him a boost of confidence, as well as the rest of the team. And we continue to try and push. We continue to try and, you know, create more opportunities and win the game by a greater margin. And do you know how refreshing that is to see an Everton team score a goal and think, no, you know what? We can get another one here. We can get another 2. We can kill this game off. And ultimately, that confidence that bred throughout the team, that bred from Andre Gomez playing forward passes and not turning around and playing into the defence, by Tom Davies actually trying to push the ball forward, by Gylfi Sigurdsson only looking that way, not pointing sideways, only going forward, by Theo Walcott. Theo Walcott, I thought, although he didn't create anything and although he didn't have a massive impact on the game, I think he is much, much better than any other winger we've got, to be honest with you. Certainly any of the senior wingers. Again, I don't want to class Anthony Gordon in that category too much, because he's still very, very young and he's only just coming into the team. But whereas with Iwobi, you might have a little bit more quality, you know, at his feet, whereas Bernard, you might have a little bit more flair. Neither of those players get into the box as much as Theo Walcott. Theo Walcott only has one thing on his mind when he has that ball at his feet, and even when he doesn't have the ball on his feet, and that is to run into the box, run at people and try and create something. And yes, his final ball isn't unbelievable, it never has been, but you can guarantee that he's going to be steaming into the box trying to create, and that's what he was doing yesterday. And like I said, the confidence that bred from that goal was unbelievable. We looked like we wanted to create more, we looked like we wanted to score more, and that confidence didn't only bleed from the top, but it bred through the defence as well. And the defence then, you know, were really, really solid. They were solid all game, but Sheffield United never come at us then. They never had many an opportunity. They never looked like getting back into the game. Yes, they had a little brief 5 or 10 minute spell at the end of the game where we did sort of revert back to, right, okay, let's try and, you know, win the game. And even then, we had chances. Even then, Anthony Gordon broke forward and should have made it 2-0, but they didn't really threaten us massively. And considering this is a team that are borderline Europa League positions and had a very, very good season, it just shows how good of a performance that was by Everton. And there is a frustrating element to it as to why couldn't we put a performance in like that against Villa, because we would have won that game easily. Why can't we put a performance like that in against Southampton, because we would have won that game easily. There is that frustrating element to it, but ultimately we have to take exactly what it was, and it was a fantastic win. And if we go out and we perform similarly to that on Sunday against Bournemouth, we should get another fantastic win and end the season on some positivity. Now, like I said, you know, the second half, we scored the goal, we come at them, and we were trying to create an awful lot more. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has a fantastic chance where the ball comes up to him and he takes it fantastically on his chest. He tries to break forward, and he probably should square it to Gylfi Sigurdsson. He doesn't, he goes for the shot, and I've got it down in the notes here. You know, I really, really respected Dominic Calvert-Lewin for doing that, because it shows that he's hungry. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is very clearly frustrated at the fact that he hasn't managed to get on the score sheet since the restart, and that he hasn't managed to, you know, have as much involvement as he would have liked. And you could see that by when he's missing chances, he's punching the floor and he's looking frustrated. I want that out of my striker. I don't want my striker to be happy with picking the ball up and playing it into the midfield, or running around and you know, running his bollocks off all game. I want my striker to not be satisfied until he's scoring goals, to not be satisfied until he's winning games of football for the team. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin showed yesterday that he has got that hunger and he has got that want to score. And in those situations, yes, okay, ideally he should have passed it to Gylfi Sigurdsson. And if we'd have lost the game or we'd have drawn the game, I'd have been sitting here saying, why didn't you pass it to Gylfi Sigurdsson? But we didn't. We won the game. And you look back at that and you think, you know, you can't really have a go at Dominic Calvert-Lewin for going for goal when he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper, or for going for, or for being frustrated at the header that hit the post. You just can't blame him for that, and I'm happy to see he's got that fight in him. But like I said, numerous other opportunities. Theo Walcott busting down that right-hand side a couple of times, a couple of fantastic balls into the box that were just never met by anybody. Best chance of the second half for Everton after the goal was probably the Anthony Gordon one within the last sort of 5 minutes. Anthony Gordon using some fantastic footwork and skill to get himself into a dangerous position. He then sort of aims the ball across the box to try and pick somebody out. However, there was nobody really there to pick out when he should have. He should have effectively gone for the near post finish, and I think it would have crept past Dean Henderson, because I don't think Dean Henderson would have been expecting it, and it would have been 2-0 and it would have been Anthony Gordon's first goal in an Everton shirt. But he didn't. Ultimately, he went for the pass, and that's understandable. And I think we've seen a lot of that yesterday. You know, again, I'm happy to be sitting here saying, you know, the final ball wasn't brilliant, but at least there was the creativity, and that was what we seen yesterday. We seen a lot of chances where we got into some good positions, and the final ball just wasn't, you know, there. There was a couple of chances where we fisted it across the box, and there was nobody on the end of it, or the final pass wasn't quite into the feet of a player, so it didn't quite set them up, and Sheffield United, you know, got back and managed to defend it. But in terms of passages of play, I don't think I've seen Everton play as many quality passages of play as we did yesterday. Since the restart of the Premier League. In fact, in fact, I can't remember the last time I've seen Everton play as many good passages of players that, you know, in a long, long time. You know, the give and goes, the passing was on point. Certainly as the game went on in the second half, the passing was really, really good. The getting into dangerous positions. And like I said, we were let down yesterday. If it was for a better final ball, it would have had a better final ball. It would have had more, you know, effectiveness and cutting edge in the final third. We could have scored 3, 4 or 5 yesterday. But it was that let us down. But ultimately, we had effort, we had grit, there was hard working, there was fantastic passages of play. Everything that I've just mentioned there, we hadn't seen for weeks and weeks at this Everton side. We didn't see it against Aston Villa, we didn't see it against Southampton, and we definitely didn't see it against Wolves. And we seen it yesterday. So it wasn't perfect, it wasn't unbelievable, it wasn't the best performance you'll ever see from an Everton team, but it was better, and we got the 3 points, and that's all that matters. We'll go back into talking about the team and the formation in just a moment, and how it sort of changed to a 4-5-1 when we were defending a little bit. But I want to get into the live comments to hear what everybody has to say about the game. Sorry about the little bit of a technical error at the start there. My computer had a little bit of a chronery. And Anders says, it's amazing to see you smiling after an away match up the Toffees. Again, you know, listen, again, we all know that it doesn't paper over cracks, and that there's still massive issues that need addressing in the transfer window and at the club, but we have to take that for what it was. And not only was it another away win for Everton Football Club, it was an away win against the side that have been very, very good at home this season, and against the side that are fighting for the European position. We went there, we deservedly won the game, and then we come out of it. Now, don't get me wrong, we have to turn up and we have to beat Bournemouth in a similar fashion, and if not, probably a better fashion on Sunday. And if we do, we then go into pre-season and into next season, not only with a transfer window to massively improve the squad in regards to bringing in new midfielders and, you know, whichever other positions need improving in Carlo Ancelotti's opinion, but we're also going off the back of a couple of really good performances, better performances than the ones that we've seen. If you're enjoying the scene, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe as well. We are smashing it at the moment, so big thanks for all of the support. Gord says, from what I saw yesterday, Everton really showed that they wanted to play for the badge. They did, and like I said, you know, we need to see more of that. We need to see more of that grit. We need to see more of that fight. We need to see more of them type of performances where we're not necessarily trying to woo anybody. We're not necessarily trying to make it look unbelievable for the cameras, but we're just doing as much as we possibly can to win the game. And then ultimately, you know, all you need in a lot of Premier League games is to want to win the game more than your opposition. That will get you through a lot of games, even against the top side. If you turn up and you are willing to fight harder than they're willing to fight, if you're willing to, you know, get to every ball first, if you're willing to put 150% in and the other team's not, you will win most games in this league. You will. And Everton showed that. At times, we can produce those type of performances yesterday. We just need to see it more consistent. Wim says, hi, Cam, lad. How's everyone doing? That was just weird. Where'd that come from? I'm not too bad, mate. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's just the computer having a little bit of a nightmare. And Ananda says, another masterclass by Ancelotti. Change of formation and what a change in the energy of the team. Fought for every ball, and it was good to see them work hard. Formation change was brilliant. It was. And again, listen, I'm happy that Carlo Ancelotti changed the formation, and I'm equally happy that Everton didn't release the formation, whether they knew about it or didn't know about it. I'm happy that they sort of made it feel like we were going to be playing a straight 4-4-2, because whether you like it or not, Sheffield United will have set up for an Everton side playing a 4-4-2 formation, and they will have set up to overrun us in a midfield too. That would have been overrun in a 4-4-2 formation, but we changed it up, and Carlo Ancelotti changed it up, and I really like that. I liked it the other day when we played Wolves, and don't get me wrong, the performance was dreadful and the result was shocking, but I liked it before we played Wolves when the Sky Sports presenter asked Carlo Ancelotti what the formation was, and he said it's 11 players, work it out for yourself. I like that. I like that he doesn't give anything away. I like that there's that bit of nobody else needs to know except me and these players, and as long as we know, then that's all that matters. You can fucking work it out for yourself. I like that. Robert says, great header from Richie. Get more crosses into the box. Proper underrated header of the ball. He is. He's a fantastic header of the ball. He really is. And I agree. It was a fantastic goal. Everton FC is the best. Says, yes, mate. How are we? I'm not too bad, mate. Much happier after that yesterday. Lewis EFC says, yes. Up the Everton. Absolutely class on the midfield yesterday. It was much better. It was much better than anything that we've seen in recent weeks. He also says, alright, Cam, alright, mate. How you doing? Chapman says, can't believe that performance. I didn't think they had it in them. Same again for Bournemouth, methinks. Let's hope so, mate. Let's hope so. Eugene says Ancelotti still wants Vecino. Does he? Didn't know he wants him in the first place. Wayne says, don't think so. The proper roll of quarters in the pocket for Højbjerg. Richarlison is king. Says, I've been saying this. Gylfi as a number 10 is class. He was back to his best last year. He played well. I don't think he's got a future at the football club, if I'm being honest, because I don't think Everton's future under Carlo Ancelotti will play with a number 10 in the formation. But if you're going to play Gylfi Sigurdsson, then you ideally need to play that formation, because he's not good enough in any other formation. Apparently there's rumours to state that the Højbjerg bid has been accepted. I haven't seen them. If it is, I'll definitely have a look at them. Alan Myers has tweeted it's not true, which, you know, there you go. It come from a journalist that had worked for TalkSport for about 10 minutes by the looks of things. But Alan Myers has said it's not true, so there you go. I'll take Alan's word over some dodgy journalist who probably hasn't got a fucking clue what he's talking about. Ananda says 4-2-3-1 really only works if you want to get a quick goal and defend, where most of your team can't rely on it because it's easy to play against. We'll need to be more versatile. Exactly, and I think that's a really good point there, and I think that's why it's important to understand that, you know, 4-4-2 at times works, but at times, certainly we've seen under Marco Silva, when teams suss it out and when teams realise how to play against it, it really doesn't work, because it's quite an easy formation to play against if you know how to. But Sheffield United weren't prepared for that yesterday, and it worked. And when it works quite well, and it worked well for what we needed it to yesterday. Wayne says it was more Sheffield who got rolled over for the old belly rub. Odd by them, but hey, you take wins where you get them. Yeah, it was, and they weren't great, and I'm sure their fans will be absolutely fuming at their performance yesterday, because they weren't great. They were disappointing. to be honest with you. They shocked me at how poor they were, considering they're fighting and they've got a lot to fight for still, and Everton haven't got anything to fight for. They didn't disappoint me because I was fucking made up because Everton won, but they surprised me at how poor they were. Wavy says, imagine Richarlison with a team around him. Exactly. Corey, how you doing, mate? He says, Lecha Cameron. I can't even pronounce that, and I don't want to offend anybody. He also says another message that I can't pronounce, so I'm sorry, mate. If you could translate that into English, that'd be greatly appreciated. I just don't want to offend anybody. Eugene says Everton have 25 million. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Yeah, I don't think the bid has been accepted for me. I think it's a load of pony, if I'm being honest with you. Jeff says, alright, everyone. William says, hi, Jeff, how you doing? And Jeff says, I'm good, thanks. Jeff also says, reports that Højbjerg a bid accepted but not official yet. Yeah, Alan Myers has said that it's not true, so I'm gonna go with Alan, because I just again the reporter that said it is true, it looks like he doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about. But we'll wait and see. Anyway, getting back into the game, like we've all mentioned there, and I think like we've all took notice of, is the formation was a massive part in that win yesterday, and we all know that it's probably not the formation to play going forward, and it's probably not going to work week in, week out, but it worked yesterday. Will it work against Bournemouth? I don't know, because maybe Bournemouth will look and they'll think, right, okay, that's the formation they're going to play, and this is how we play against it. And Bournemouth may be mathematically safe by then. We may have the chance to relegate them, so they'll have a lot to fight for. But regardless of that, yesterday was, like I said, was a much better performance. Sheffield United weren't great. I don't think they had a shot on target all game. They didn't massively offer us any threats. However, regardless of that, it was much better by Everton. And you have to take what you can take. And ultimately, at the moment, we have to understand that we've got very little to play for. The players over the last few days or so very much look like they had their feet on the beach, and they had their sandals on and they weren't playing for much. So to see us come out and put in a performance like that was really, really good to see, and it was quite refreshing to see, because it shows that Carlo Ancelotti isn't willing to say, right, well, we've got not much to play for, so just go out there and do what you want. He wants the best, the very, very best out of these players every single game, even if there's very little to play for. And I think he got the best out of a lot of players yesterday. Like I said, Jared Branthwaite, absolutely superb yesterday. Another top performance. This lad has got a massive, massive future at Everton. I don't want to get too carried away because he's still very, very young and he hasn't had a lot of Premier League experience. But this lad has got a massive, massive future ahead of him at Everton Football Club. He really, really has. He was playing, League Two football 4 or 5 months ago, and he wasn't even the first choice of Carlisle. And considering the fact that he's only been here for a matter of 6 or 7 months, he's already had a contract extension. He's played his first Premier League game yesterday, or started his first Premier League game, should I say, and he slotted in looking like he'd been playing Premier League football for years. It just shows how quality he really, really is. And like I said, Andre Gomez, much more improved yesterday. It was just a better performance, wasn't it? It was just a better performance, and one that you come to expect from Everton. We expect, at the very, very least, these players to work hard, these players to give it 100%, these players to fight, to have a little bit of a grit, to have a little bit of a passion. And I actually think another thing that helped Everton massively yesterday was the fact that Sheffield United were a little bit... They were throwing a few naughty tackles in. They were throwing a few tackles in that you thought, you know what, on another day with another referee, the referee was Stuart Atwell. That was... I think that probably goes up there with one of the worst refereeing performances I have watched this season. It was fucking atrocious. He embarrassed himself yesterday, Stuart Atwell. He absolutely embarrassed himself. But Sheffield United, like I mentioned, back onto the point, were throwing a couple of naughty tackles in, certainly on Richarlison in that first half. They were throwing a couple of stamps. They were throwing a couple of dirty challenges, and they were getting away with it because ultimately the referee couldn't referee a fucking child's tea party. So I also think that helped Everton, whereas in previous times, under previous managers, we've seen those type of teams, play against Everton and kick us up the park a little bit and give us a few nudges, and us just sort of go into our shell and not want any part of it, and not want to fight, and not want to stand up for ourselves, and not want to get involved, and not want to get physical, and ultimately be bullied for the game and then lose the game. I think we actually sort of stood up, certainly in that second half, and thought, no, you know what, we can kick back. If you want to throw a little slide dig in, we'll throw a little slide dig in. Calvert-Lewin would throw the hand over the face and he'd make sure that they knew he was there. Richarlison was getting, more and more, as the game went on, he was getting more and more frustrated, but I think his frustration levels in the first half would have been here, and then he scored that goal and they'd have come down to here, but he was still at that level to think, no, I'm still going to fucking let you know I'm here. I'm still going to give you what you're giving me. And I think that, again, like I said, that gave us a boost, because we thought, you know what, we're not just going to be kicked over the park here. We're not just going to let them sit here and do what they want. We'll get involved. We'll be as physical as they can be, and we'll match it. And again, I thought we showed that yesterday, which was a surprise, but a good surprise at that. Wimmy says, so it looks like we maybe have Højbjerg and 50-50. Well, again, we don't know. We don't know yet. If it's 30 million, I can't say I want him, to be honest with you. If it's 14, which has been some rumours, then yeah. Listen, we're going to talk about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg in massive amounts of detail tomorrow. We'll be live at 5:15 PM tomorrow night. We're going to talk about transfers. We're going to talk about general updates. I'm going to talk about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, because I think it's about time we have a conversation about him. Uden says Everton needs to strengthen. Spot on. Jess says, I've not really seen him play, but I'll trust Carlo. I assume you're talking about Højbjerg there. Wayne says he is disruptive and mobile, Jeff. Possibly slightly underperforming at Southampton, but he knows how to tackle, so that's going to help, yeah. Jeff says, every car needs an engine. We sold ours to PSG, and his absence has really helped us. Hopefully this lad fills the gap. Well, let's see. Let's see if he does come in. Like I said, I'm not too convinced on the source at the moment, and Alan Myers is claiming that it's not true. And as well, I'm not too convinced with the player himself. He seems to be really pushing for the move to Tottenham, and I don't want a player at Everton who is only at Everton because we're his last choice, or because he had nowhere else to go. And this is the issue I have with Gabriel as well at Lille, is he seems to be sort of sitting on the view of, well, I'll go to Everton because I desperately want to leave Lille and I need to leave Lille, but only if Everton's the only option. If I've got any other option, I'm going to go there, but I'll go to Everton if I absolutely have to, because I don't want to be at Lille. I sort of feel like we're seeing a little bit similar with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. If the reports are to be believed, he desperately wants that move to Tottenham, and he isn't really convinced about coming to Everton. So I don't know whether Tottenham saying we don't want him and Everton pursuing it massively. I don't know if I really want to play. That's going to come in and you know, like I said, that already starts a negative sort of connotation off, doesn't it? As he didn't really want to be here in the first place. Wim says your computer had the coroner. Yeah, that's a word, isn't it? Pretty much sure I got that right. Wim says, I say that I haven't just typed disruptive. It's a new word, direct and disruptive. Eugene says, Everton transfer challenge clear for Carlo Ancelotti, hopefully. Robert says, calm fighting effort should be there every time. Don't mind getting beat by a better team. Spot on, mate, spot on. William says, agree, Rob, that performance should be minimum requirements. I agree. Richarlison King says, it's Cal, by the way, but how good is Richarlison? He's unbelievable, mate, unbelievable. William says, they have got a semi on for Højbjerg, though. Cornet says, I was just some banter, mate. Just said, how are you doing? I'm not too bad. He also says, asked when I'm coming back on the channel. Whenever you want, mate. Listen, I'll drop you the text. I've got football training in about 15 minutes, so I'm going to have to jump in a minute. But I'll drop you the text after that and we'll sort it out. Richarlison is, I'm just going to say Cal. Cal says, Højbjerg is class, a classy box-to-box. Anything under 30 is a bargain. Fair enough. Wim says, Cornet, bro, how you doing? Rob says, wasn't expecting anything yesterday, mate. New formation helped loads, looked a different team. You're spot on. Jeff says, nobody could referee a kid's tea party. Kids are vicious. All right, well, he couldn't referee a piss up in a brewery then. There you go. Wim says, reckon the refs have a side comp between them for the brown whistle for worst performance of the season. I'm not surprised, mate. Rob says, would still sell most of that team though if there's any again, like I said, I don't want to be negative, because we need to be positive about it, because it was a good performance and it was a good win, but I think we know that there's still massive issues and there's still positions that need filling. But we have to take what we've seen, and what we've seen was a good performance. At the end of the day, when we've reviewed the Villa game, when we've reviewed and sat down and talked about the Wolves game, Southampton game, we've spoken about that game and that performance specifically, so it's important that we speak about this performance. Yes, it's not anything that we can sit here and say, right, okay, you know, that's it now, just perform like that every week and we'll be good, because it's not as easy as that. But it was much better. It really was much better. We got the win. It wasn't unbelievable. It wasn't the best performance, but it was much better. William says, tight at the top in the race for the brown whistle, mate. They're all right up there. Carl says, if Watford go down, which is looking likely, Decore is a must. I wouldn't go for Decore, mate. I think he costs too much, and I don't massively rate him, to be honest with you. When he says Konar, I can't even say it, mate. Coronari. I can't even say it, mate. There you go. That's probably why I say it wrong. Tani says, any players on your shortlist for the transfer window? either Ibrahim Sangare or Boubakary Samare. I think it'd be two fantastic players. I'd really like a right winger as well. Jack Grealish I'd love, but I don't think he'd come. Robert says Davis loan next season, potentially. And Ananda says, are you playing or are you coaching? I'm playing, mate, I'm playing. Yeah, I'm playing at 8 o'clock, but I've got to be there 15 minutes earlier. Anyway, we'll wrap it up there then. A really, really good win for Everton Football Club yesterday, and I think it's important that we take it as that. Just to summarise, not saying it papers over any cracks, but we have to take it from what it was, and it was a really, really good win against the side that have had a good season, certainly at home. Yes, they didn't play their best. Yes, they weren't fantastic. But Everton turned up and we done what we needed to do. And we didn't turn up and do the usual, right, well, we're not playing for anything and you are, so we'll let you win because we're nice. We turned up and went, we don't give a fuck what you're playing for. We're coming to win. And I honestly think that part of that mentality is due to the manager, who very, very clearly wasn't happy with the previous two performances, even though we're not playing for anything. The change of formation, the change of tactics, like I said, the willingness to break forward and still trying to create and still trying to score, even when going 1-0 up, was really, really refreshing. And I hope we see a similar performance against Bournemouth in the last game of the season, and hopefully we can finish the season positively then. Wayne says, I know what you meant. Take care, guys. Thank you very much, you too. And Anders says, all the best, mate. Take care, everyone. Thanks, you too. Jeff says, cheers, Cam. Latest, everyone. Thank you very much, latest, Jeff. And Alex says, have you heard of... I'm not going to say... I don't know if it's another one of them tricky names, but I haven't heard of them. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. We'll be back 5:15 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to talk about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. We're going to talk about transfers. And then, of course, as the week goes on, we'll be back with the live game preview to our Premier League fixture. The last Premier League fixture of the season, finally. Feels like this season's gone on for an absolute age against Bournemouth. That game preview will be on Friday at 5:15 p.m. So don't forget to join us for that. But join us tomorrow, please. 5:15 p.m. if you can make it. We'll be live again. We'll be getting involved in the live comments. We'll be talking about Højbjerg. We'll be talking about loads of Everton news as well. Eugene says, see you buy up the Toffees and 3 points against Bournemouth this Sunday. Yes, 100%. Big thanks for watching. Please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well. Links are down below. Really would appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow at 5:15 p.m. Thanks for watching. See you soon.